Hey guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be talking to you about user mode. Once you have your coding plug installed, you have access to user mode and also slick mode, but I'm going to be talking specifically today about user mode and going over some of the features and what you're going to see in the menus and what you have available to you specifically in user mode. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to be talking about just an overview of the menus that you see here and where to find those once you get to the bike, and I'll show you that too. I'm also going to give you some examples of how you can further enhance or adjust your traction control and your damping control. And then I'm also going to be telling you where you can find better descriptions of these particular behaviors for each one of your four main interventions here that come with the motorcycle. And I'll catch that at the end. So the first thing I want to do here then is go ahead and just go through an overview of the menu. So once you have access to user mode here, you automatically get to customize and mix and match with your four main interventions here: ABS, traction control, damping control, and engine throttle response. You can mix and match them in whatever way that you would like. So with ABS, for example, you can select sport, race, or slick. And of course, with the Sport, Racer, Slick, these each have their own descriptions through BMW, and I'll give you those page numbers that you can find those in the user's manual later, and of course with the other ones too. But also you're going to notice here too, I'll just go ahead and point it out now, that Sport and Rain, they're the same, they have the same behavior in the BMW flowchart. So it's going to show up Sport for ABS. Rain's not going to be in there because they're exactly the same behavior. So you'll see Sport only. Also, the same is going to be true when you go in to adjust your engine throttle response. Race and Sport in the BMW flowchart have the exact same behaviors. So only Race will show, you won't see Sport. So that's why. But continuing on here, you can adjust your traction control, and the behaviors can be changed here with your four different riding modes. And for your damping control, you have your option of Sport, Race, or Slick. And with throttle response, your engine throttle response, you have Rain, Race, or Slick. So the interesting thing about that is then you do have some more adjustability with traction control and with damping control. So let me start with traction control. Once you have your coding plug-in and you can get into user mode, you will then see that your changeover switch is activated, which will allow you on the fly to change your traction control +7, 0, or -7. So, and I've got some examples of that down here to help with the explanation with that. So for example, you can set the traction control for Sport, let's say, but then you can further adjust that to your own liking with the changeover switch. That's the rocker switch on the right hand or the left hand side of the motorcycle cluster that says Slick on it with a positive, negative. So BMW refers to it as a changeover switch. And then you can also further customize damping control. For example, you can set your damping control in, so say let's go into Sport, and then, but then if you go back and watch my other video on how you can adjust your DDC, you can further step away from the factory behaviors of, say, Sport, and then control the damping behavior and rebound and compression on the rear shock and general damping on the front even further to your liking. So you have even more adjustability too in the damping for your suspension. So that's pretty cool. And then so with engine and ABS, you get what you get. So you can set it in any one of those modes and you'll get that behavior. So now I'd like to give you an example or two here, and I've got these down below of, let's start with the traction control. I have two examples of traction control, one for sport, one for race, just to give you an idea of how you can adjust even farther. So in the first example here, you see sport. If you select sport in traction control and you leave it at a factory setting of 0, because remember with traction control you can adjust it with your changeover switch, your slick switch, you're going to get that behavior from the factory left at 0. If you choose to adjust that even farther, you can either go +7 for more intervention or positive up to +7 for more intervention and negative for less intervention. So that's just an example of how you can say have in user mode select sport for traction control, but then still have even more controllability. The same could be said for another mode, for example, in race. You can do the same thing. You can set it for your traction control for behavior, a general factory setting behavior of race, but then adjust it even farther for either more intervention in race or less intervention in race. Now, my assumption would be then, I would say that looking at these two number lines here, for example, if you were in sport and compared sport setting of 2, let's say, to a race setting of 2, I would imagine that there would be some difference in the way the behavior is going to be for the exact same setting for, let's say, +2 in race and a sport setting of 2. So it's not very specific about that in the manual, but I think that that's common sense dictates that if you're in a higher level of behavior mode, that even if you do adjust, it's not going to be same to same for, let's say, if you were in a sport mode behavior for number. And then I also put an example here for your dampening control, your dynamic damping control in just say sport mode. I didn't put the numbers here, but then you can go in and you can adjust your rear and front damping control to your likings away from, say, factory. Like, for example, sport is sort of like a general softer riding mode for the damping, but you can either firm it up going towards +7 or soften it up. Both rebound and compression on the rear, and then general damping in the front. So that right there is just kind of a general overview of what you get from the menus and how you can mix and match everything here. So what does it look like over at the motorcycle? We'll take a look at that next. Okay, over at the bike here, let's go ahead and get the ignition switch on here. You're going to notice a couple of things here. You're going to notice in user mode that right here, you see that, how it's flashing through what your settings are? You get that in user mode. You can see I'm in user mode right here. And so when you turn the ignition on, it's going to tell you for your 4 main interventions what you set them at before you head off down the road. You'll also notice here too that because we have the coding plug-in, we now have the option showing here in the main screen for the traction control, what level you have set it beyond the factory setting. Right now I've got it set at 0. But you remember you can go +7, 0 to -7, and that's for both that's actually for traction control, and then you can also go into your other settings if you want to change your damping. So let's go into the menu and look at user mode. And by the way, if you're going to make that change too, you can do that on the fly, and you use the slick switch on the left-hand side of the handlebar. So let's press set. And we're going to go over to the setup menu here, press and hold set. And now we're going to go find the user mode. Here it is right here. So now you have that available to you. So press and hold set. And now here you see you have ABS, you have your traction control, your damping control, and your engine throttle response behavior. I'm going to go back to here. You can reset it too if you mess something up or if you get lost or whatever. But I'm going to go back to ABS, and I'm just going to show you in one of the interventions here. I'll just pick ABS, how you can select the mode that you want. So what you do, just like you do in my other videos, you're going to press and hold set until that intervention starts blinking. And now at that point you can press set or trip and select something different. And in ABS we have race, we have slick, and we have sport. So I'm going to keep the ABS on sport. I want a little bit more intervention. So once I see what I want, I'm going to go ahead and press and hold set, and then we'll see a check mark confirming that that's the intervention level that we want. And then you can go through your other interventions and do the exact same thing based on what we discussed from the flow chart and the menus in the exact same manner. But remember, with traction control and damping control, you can adjust further. So that's how you go in and you access user mode. And we're going to exit out. I'm going to press and hold set. And then I'm going to exit out of the setup menu. There it is. I'm going to press and hold set. And then press trip so I can get my odometer back. And we're back to where we started. So that's how you access the user mode on the motorcycle itself, and how you can make the changes that you want to based on your preferences. Okay, so I just wanted to throw this back in here for the benefit of the video. And this first page here shows your interventions, and you can see what you generally get here for these interventions depending on what mode that you're in. So just a quick reference again on that. I know this is probably available online. So there's that page, so you can just kind of take a look here and see what you get to. Let me flip over to the other page. Okay, just flipped over to the other page here, and then this is for your engine behavior and each mode there too, so you can see just in general description here what you get for each one of those mode behaviors. Last thing here, guys, is that if you want some better descriptions, let me just set this back up here for a moment. If you want better descriptions on any one of these mode behaviors in any of the four main interventions, I'm going to refer you to the user's manual, which, by the way, you can download off of the BMW website if you don't have the bike and you want to be looking into it. But if you have the user's manual, at least for here in the US and the English version, pages 149 through 155 have some pretty good descriptions from BMW as to what each of these actually means to you in a more meaningful way. All right, guys, I hope this has helped you out here with users, or the users mode. And also wanted to say too, I appreciate you guys in your comments, and also I really appreciate the subscriptions out there too and taking an interest in the videos. Last thing, guys, I know we've got a new bike coming out here for the S1000RR for 2017, although I know it's just slightly different, Euro 4 emissions and that, but I do believe that all of your navigations through the menus and such are going to be the same as the 2015 and 16, which all of my videos are based on here. So I think that the 2017 and you guys that are looking at those will be able to use these videos too to help you out in any way possible. So again, guys, thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.